Hi. My name is Peterkin Ofori. I'm a lawyer, mental health practitioner, and a relationship expert. And I have special interest in domestic violence. Um, I've seen a video that was sent to me by a friend, actually, and it showed a young lady with a child behind her back who is desperately or was desperately seeking help following an alleged abuse. And that same video was followed by photos of the husband who allegedly abused this lady. And that photo shows the images of the husband who has suffered what appears to be severe wound or knife or cutlass wound to her arms and thighs. And I think for me to continue, it's important you see the video so you can understand what I'm going to try to say.
Oh, I've been married for less than 2 years. My husband is Steven Dubrow. Steven Dubrow, they are quite affluent. His family is quite affluent. He did this to me. 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 I have 2 kids with him. I don't have money for a lawyer. I'm from a very poor home. Please, I need a lawyer. I need a lawyer. I'm a product of Wesley Girls. I went to UCC and I went to Rect Academy. People from this institution help me. Please, can I help me? Help me. I'm jobless. He didn't want me to work. He didn't want me to find any job. He wanted me to work with this family. Now I think that the salary was very small. I couldn't see. I couldn't see. Now see what he has done to me. Please, I need a lawyer. I need a lawyer. I need a lawyer. I want justice. I want justice. Oh.
Now, watching this video, the question that comes to mind is, can there be 2 victims in a relationship between 2 adults? Can there be 2 victims of abuse? That is, the 2 people in a relationship becomes victims of abuse between themselves. Based on my experience, and I've got a lot of experience in this area, the answer is no. There is always a victim and there is always an abuser. So, looking back at that video, what I'm going to try to do without passing judgment, because it's important that in my role I don't judge people. So I don't intend to pass any judgment, but what I'm going to try to do is to have an educated explanation of what could have gone wrong or what could have happened. Like I've said, one thing I am certain is that there cannot be 2 victims in such a relationship. There's always a victim and there's always an abuser. So in this case, who could be the victim here? I am not going to tell you, but I'm going to try and explain so you can make your own mind up. Despite what I've said, that there cannot be 2 victims, one thing that I can also say is that there can be the 2 parties involved in the abusive relationship can sustain injuries. The fact that the 2 sustain injuries does not make both of them victims. right? And the injuries can be sustained in different ways. And what I'm going to try to do is explain what could lead to the two of them sustaining injury whilst they still remain a victim and an abuser. When I see a client that has gone through an abuse, one of the first things that I look out for is the kind of pain that, or the emotional pain that they are suffering from. And we've got two types of pain, emotional pain. One of them is affective pain, and the other one, which is not very common, is called somatic pain. And I'll try and explain that. The affective pain is it's a painful emotional sensation that motivates the victim, the person suffering that pain, to kind of look for escape, to escape the person inflicting the pain. So when I was looking at a video of Rachel, one of the things that I was looking out for was to see if I could see any form of an affective pain in her presentation. And I dare say it was clearly evident that there was pain in the way that she presented herself, the way that she presented her story. And that is consistent with almost everybody that I have met who had come from an immediate or had escaped an immediate domestic abuse. Another thing that I look for is any form of an acute pain. I didn't see the pictures, but she was clearly showing forms of abuse. I don't know her, so I can't work out where the physical abuse were, but she appears to be swollen and she appears to be bruised on her arm, which she was showing to the camera. So those two pains were present. Another thing that which is very important that we look out for is how coherent or incoherent the person's story is. A lot of the time when you find a victim of domestic violence, their story is slightly incoherent. You will note that they jump from one topic to the other. They are not able to say their story to be believed, and they tend to be very desperate. Whereas when you meet the abuser, they are very calm, they are very calculating, they are able to present their case the way they want it to be presented. And a lot of the time, if you are not skilled in the work that you do, you tend to believe them. So it is important to look at those signs and to be able to help you to form an opinion as to whether you are dealing with a victim of domestic abuse or the abuser themselves. Now, talking of somatic pain is pain that one suffers when they are in a very acute situation where they have to either fight or run. So they call it fight or flight. I'm sure people have heard this word before. Fight or flight. And if you want to really understand how somatic pain works and how people will react when they are having that constant panic of fear, Try putting a cat in a locked room and attempt to assault that cat. And what you're going to find is, if there's a space, any avenue where the cat can escape from, they will escape. But if the cat is unable to escape, what it's going to do is turn on you. And you will never see any violence like that in your entire life. Violence from a cat. So that is a kind of somatic pain, flight or fear. Of course, looking at Rachel's photo, that pain was not present. But then you tend to look at the husband's photo, and this husband has sustained severe cuts. So now, as an expert, with these two evidence of people that are in pain before me, I am now trying to establish who is actually the victim here. Now, what I am going to, or what I will be doing, is to look at which of these two would have had a sustained level of attack or abuse. If you look at the husband's photos, there is a knife or a cutlass that has been used to slash the arms and the thigh and the fingers. One can deduce that he was trying to defend himself, hence the arms got caught and then the thighs and what have you. But what you can also deduce from that was that it was an instant attack. So something might have triggered that attack on the husband. Now, if we look at Rachel's image, you don't readily see assault, apart from the affective pain. Of course, those who know her, having read from the Facebook, say she was swollen up and she was bruised. So you want to see which of these two kind of injuries, physical injuries, would demand a sustained attack. Was it a knife attack or the attack that have led to a mother being bruised from head, the hands, and probably other body parts? Which of these two will be sustained? And when you look at of the two, then you can then begin to ask yourself the question, which of these two attack or assault could bring about a somatic pain reaction, that constant panic of fear, that flight or fight mode that people get. Which of these two abuse will bring about that reaction? And by that, you can actually deduce who of the two is the victim and who of the two is the abuser. Like I said, I don't form a judgment, and I think all of us can go back to look at the video again and actually educate ourselves as to what could possibly have happened. One thing I can say is that people that go through somatic, react to somatic pain can be extremely violent, because what would have happened to them at that period is that they need to save themselves. And a lot of the time, when they gather the courage to react, they go to the full length to the point where they become scared or they think they have done enough to be able to escape. So again, when you are analyzing those two videos, you want to ask yourself which of those two would have gone through a short space of time to act in such a way that they can escape from abuse. I hope this is helpful and we can all learn from it. And to say that any form of abuse is not right, and nobody has got a right to abuse anybody. We can always have a reason why somebody deserves to be abused, but nobody, none of us, has got a right to touch anybody in the name of marriage, love, or anything else. Thank you.